Hello and welcome to Driver's Therapy. In today's video, we have a very special and beautiful car. This is Jake's 2002 Dodge Viper GTS Final Edition number
43 of 360.
43 of 360. I like the 360.
That's right.
Full circle.
That's right.
That is guys, let me tell you, Jake is gonna tell us about this car, but I did some research before we came here because I was like, what's this Final Edition thing? And it is super, super special. This car is really rare and really neat. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off. Well, Jake, we have to always start off by saying, why a Viper?
Why not? They came out with a V10. It's American made, and it's America's first true supercar, and I will die on that hill.
Oh, we are starting off with some shots fired. Hold on, we got to make sure that some Corvette guys are not going to jump us or something like that. Well, first off, a Viper is just a beautiful car. I mean, we pretty much grew up. Everybody knows what a Viper is.
That's right. You had them on the. You had posters on your bedroom wall of them. You played them in video games. I mean, it was America's icon car for the younger generation.
And if you saw one, it was always special. It wasn't like, oh, okay, it's a Viper. Usually you would stop, pause. You'd probably skip a step, you know, when you're hurt your neck whenever you saw one. So is this your first Viper?
It is my first Viper, yes.
Okay, and how long did you want a Viper?
Well, ever since I was a kid, I wanted a Viper. Every kid wanted a Viper, the blue and white striped one. But it was when I started digging into what I really wanted in a car, I decided I wanted a Viper. I mean, it's a V10, it's American made, and you don't see them that often. So they're exciting cars to see. And
if you guys don't know, there is multiple generations of Vipers,
That's
right?
Correct.
And what generation is this one?
This is a Gen 2.
So Gen 2. And as you guys know, there's all kinds of acronyms for cars. Every car has an acronym. So this is a Gen 2, but this Final Edition makes it a very special one within that Gen 2. And why is that?
So they came out with the red and white stripes, and that was a tribute to the Viper racing team, and they're racing at Le Mans mostly. So, and this was the last year for the Gen 2, so they wanted something special to go back to their racing heritage with.
And a lot of the Viper enthusiasts will say that this is probably one of the best generations and best year of that generation.
Yeah, for the most part, I think you get that battle, you know what I mean? Everybody's Viper is better than the next one, but I prefer a Gen 2. I like the body lines, I like the clamshell hood. It just does it for me.
That's awesome. Well, guys, if you've seen a Viper before, you have one of the things that right away that I was telling Jake was that the top of the roofline looks like a Viper, but then Jake told me that the whole car is kind of designed to kind of look like that from above, right?
Yeah. So if you look down on the car, it looks similar to a King Cobra head.
That is awesome. And before I even knew as much as I know about Vipers now, the top of the roof of the car just looks really cool. I don't know. To me, it looks aggressive. It both met the name of the car, but also with the design of it. So
yeah, so absolutely. If you look at the car, it actually has two bubbles in it, and they call that the double bubble roof. And that was so you could wear a helmet when you're inside the car.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's a Carroll Shelby touch, I believe.
So it was almost like destiny because the name and the helmets, I'm kind of like blown away. So for the people out there who don't know the specs on a Viper, how much power does this bad boy have?
So this car has 460 horsepower and 490 foot-pounds of torque. And that's out of an 8-liter, 488 cubic inch all aluminum.
And that's in 2002, because cars out there right now, like those Hellcats that have those crazy horsepower figures, in 2002, that was insane.
Yeah, that's insane. That was one of Dodge's big selling points. You're never going to see a car with this much horsepower again, blah, blah, blah. Well, now look at it.
And, you know, I'm proud of my segue here because Jake is a Dodge fan, a huge one, because not only does he have a special edition Viper, but he also has Dodge's
Hellcat.
Oh, man. And he is an addict. And you know what they say about addicts? They're always an addict. And he is a horsepower addict because we were talking and he was like, 500 doesn't feel like that much power.
No, it doesn't. Not when you come from, a Hellcat, and we've done some things to it, so it's pretty spicy.
Yeah, how much power is that Hellcat going? Roughly, because I know you want to go out there to the track sometime.
It's about 1,500.
Oh, my gosh, guys. my viewers out there who know that I own an NSX, when he says 1500 and our dynos are barely hitting the high 200s, I feel we're moving on from that. All right, so this is a V10.
Correct.
Okay, so in 2023, well, this car is 21 years old?
21 years old.
Okay, so in 2023, well, we don't have the crazy gas prices we had earlier this year, but I know a lot of people always bring that up. Even if you're a car fan, you just kind of want to bring it up. I've always wanted to ask people this. If you full throttle it, can you see the needle go down?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You can?
Yeah, this car drinks petrol.
Oh man! So what would you say, 40 miles per gallon?
Oh no, oh no, oh no. I probably get around 7 or 8. I like that skinny pedal. So.
7 or 8?
Yeah,
oh my, that is insane. Well, you know what? Does it put a smile on your face?
It does put a smile on my face.
That's what counts. To me, that's the cheapest smile on your face that you can get today.
Lots of smiles per gallon in this car.
That is awesome. Well, we have to talk about the car more as far as the design and stuff goes. Sure. So this car is, what would they say? Is this a 200 mile an hour car? Or what do they have it advertised as?
I think it's advertised at 187 plus or minus.
That is insane. And I was telling Jake that I was in school in Daytona and I saw the Viper Cup there. And these cars are not just beautiful and fast, but they are recognized and known race cars, meaning that they've dominated. I think they destroyed a Nürburgring time or something like that. Yeah. I mean, they're amazing cars on a track.
It was considered a supercar killer when it came to the racetrack. Absolutely.
That is amazing. Now, you were telling me something about this hood, that it was the most expensive part on...
At the time, this was the most expensive production part on a vehicle.
You know, there's a lot of engineering behind that, because look how that hood is sitting. Yep. That is insane. I love that they did that, because the car presents itself nicely without the hood up, but when you have it up, it just looks even more amazing. Yeah. The car just looks fast sitting. I absolutely love it. So now that you have this car, what would you say is your favorite thing about it? Now that you finally own one.
V10.
V10.
V10. Absolutely.
Now, I've never experienced a V10. A lot of us have experienced a V8. What's the difference?
Well, it's just rare. So they started with the V10 and then everybody followed suit. You had Lamborghini doing the V10, you had Audi doing the V10, and they're still the only ones that are pretty much doing a V10. So they started with the V10 in a production car.
It sounds very unique.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a very different sound.
It does. It does have a different sound. Some say they sound like an old truck, but...
I like it. It sounds very aggressive. But one thing I noticed is that this has a low grumble. Do you have an exhaust on it, or is it stock?
So I did cut the rear mufflers out of it.
All right.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah!
So it does have the factory catalytic converters and some mid mufflers, but that's it.
Gave it that nice little touch.
Yep, and gives a little pop, and that sounds lovely.
That is amazing. So we always have to touch on the things that YouTube's always touching on. What are some of the quirks about the car that now that you own it, that kind of shocked you about it? Like now that you're your owner, you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of unique, or this is cool, or maybe annoying. Well, what's something that stood out to you? And you can take your time.
The whole car is just different when you actually sit in the car, because the motor sits so far back and the transmission's right there and the rear tire's right behind you. You actually don't sit straight in the car. You actually sit off to the left a little bit where the transmission tunnel comes through and everything, and the motor's so far back. So that's hard to get used to. You can't see anything out of the car.
Oh my gosh, Jake, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you just said that, and I just saw where the steering wheel's at, yeah. And it is all the way to the left.
Yeah, and you actually sit kind of cocked off to the left a little bit too.
That's insane. Yeah. And when you're driving it, you kind of notice that.
If you're not used to it, not paying attention, you will literally smash the brakes thinking it's the clutch.
All right, guys, so Jake let me sit in his car, but right here, if you look over here, this is where your feet are at. They go all the way out there, and like we were saying, the seating position's to the left, and I could totally experience that. Your leg is literally almost parallel in touching the door sill, but I have to mention that the inside of this car is actually really, really nice. The seats feel great. Oh my gosh. And I love the gauges. Look at all these little gauges here. I mean, this is a really nice seating position, and it actually feels quite roomy. So what are your plans, Jake? I know you're thinking about putting an extra K&N air filter.
Yeah, we'll do a K&N. It's gonna get supercharged. We're gonna put a row supercharger on it, so nothing crazy, just a little boost, like 5 psi. Wake it up a little.
And we were saying that's going to be pretty cool because you'll get the sound. And you'll get a little bit more power.
A little bit more power.
And just kind of give a new little experience to it.
That's right.
Already on top of a very fast car. This is so cool. Well, guys, remember, there's only 360 of these. And this car only has how many miles?
10,500.
This is a real collector's car. This is a treat, not only for me, but for you guys, but for any car enthusiast out there, because this is a desired model. It's got 10,000 miles on it, but it's owned by someone who's enjoying it and also willing to add something that put an extra bigger smile in your face.
That's right.
Well, we really appreciate you coming out and sharing this beautiful car. This is a stunning car, and anywhere you go, people's reactions are always the same. They're always excited to see it. Well, Jake, thanks for coming out.
Thanks, David.
We really appreciate it. Thanks you guys for watching. You stay tuned for some more awesomeness. You take care, and we'll see you later.